This is the 1901 White Family Rotary, and I'm going to try Christiana's method of hand crank embroidery on this machine today. I'm going to show you the tool she suggested. That is a feed dog cover plate, and unfortunately it's a generic plate. I thought it would fit this machine. It does work with this machine, but as you can see, it has to be taped in place. The screw that they include is a narrow screw, mainly for Singer machines, and the screw that a white takes is much bigger, and so the shaft of the threaded area of that screw does not fit through the slot. But you can get around that just by making sure you're careful to place the plate in the right position so that you have needle clearance. And then this is first aid tape, that you can use first aid tape or masking tape and hold it in place. But because of the age of the bed, I only made sure the tape was on the metal and not on the actual bed. You never know, it might lift up the surface. So that is my improvisation for using this machine, and unfortunately a lot of times that's what happens with White Family Rotaries. This is the tool that Christiana suggested. It's 5 inches long, and in the first video I had it much longer. It was each prong was 2 inches. This prong is now 1 inch, and the shorter prong is 3/4 of an inch. And I did that because when I was using it, and it was 2 inches long, it did give me a wider area, and I thought it'll just keep this wide. It does work. I did put beeswax on the end. It works for shifting the fabric, but when I had it as wide as I did at 2 inches, I just felt I wasn't getting enough control. Now here's another tool that you might want to use. This is a very simple hand-carved sewing awl. You might find it easier to push the fabric, but the whole purpose of Christiana's suggestion isn't just pushing, it's holding it taut. So there's also a practice involved where you have to put one side down, push it to the left a little bit, and then push the right side down so that you're actually holding the fabric taut. So I'm just going to use a scrap piece of fabric. Always remember to put your presser foot down. I've been forgetting that lately, which then creates a whole bunch of loopy threads. So, okay, and remember on the White Family Rotary, the hand wheel always turns backwards, unless you have a VS series, like the VS2B, or those machines actually, their hand wheel turns forward. So my fingers are going to be in the way for a minute, but I wanted to make sure I could do this method on this machine. Even though the 99 is extremely quiet, the Singer hand crank is louder than my darning egg hand crank on this one. So you can see this is through denim, and that is why it's easier to just do this instead of talk about it, because you have to focus on what you're doing. And that is the denim fabric lifting and not getting a stitch. So now let's try the tool, and we push it down to the left and then over to the right, Now, don't judge the tool by the fact that I'm not getting a good stitch with this machine. This machine has been the most challenging, and I'm not sure why. It takes 15x needles. So let me try another fabric. Because this denim has already had a lot done to it. Here is just a 2-ply piece of blue fabric. And this is like an old sheet. It's going to be part of something else. Now, I purposely picked this machine because it's giving me a hard time. Which it shouldn't. And it doesn't do it all the time, and so now I'm going to mention thread, because this has a generic dime store kind of thread on it right now that is blue in color, and all the bobbins are wound with that, so I don't really want to change the thread right now. So see, it does work, but it's a little bit picky, and I am almost positive if I put a more professional thread on here, I wouldn't be having that problem. So now we'll do the same thing, and you can see that you have to actually spread your fingers apart to control the stitch. And the reason the videos are difficult is because your fingers are in the way. And those threads don't want to get out of my way. And that's, again, the thread. But see, I just made 3 stitches. It can be done this way. So when you use the tool, you have to pretend you're stretching the fabric with your fingers. And I think it's just a matter of time and now I'm not having a problem. So then you move it, you stretch it, so it'll be like a wrist action that you have to practice with. And really, this machine is going to end up probably being the embroidery machine simply because it's pretending it can't do it when it can. And I think it's the thread. I wanted to try the Aurifil wool today, but like I said, I don't want to change the bobbins. So this tool, you really have to get used to going like that and like that with your left hand as you're cranking. But I think that it's an extension of your own hand, so I don't think it'll be that difficult to get used to doing it that way. You may not want to use it all the time. When Christiana first mentioned it, she said she would use it in like critical areas or something, so she probably has a better idea of exactly how she would use it. So the White Family Rotary can have a darning plate taped to it and do the same method of no hoop embroidery, but I think you have to know your machine, know what kind of thread it prefers, know what you can get away with. I can drop that needle down just a little bit and I'd be getting stitches all the time. But I don't necessarily want to have to remember all the changes I've done to each machine. So you can keep a little notebook with the machine and write down how you've set it up. But I do think the tool is an advantage. And as you can see, I put beeswax on the ends.